Welcome to Stories for Wonderful Children. I'm Dan Winella, your host and storyteller. Years ago, I began recording the bedtime stories I told my children every night. Now, we would like to share those stories with you. I hope you enjoy my Stories for Wonderful Children.
Not long after the fairies had explained the mystery of the seed and her guardianship of it to Winella, she realized that it was getting late and that it really was time for her to go. She went, along with Joey, back to the Cat's Paw Highway. Her first impulse was to go straight to Kandie Land, retrieve the seed from the chocolate bat's cave, and find a place to plant it. But as she walked to the Cat's Paw Highway, she thought about it, and she realized that the seed was quite safe where it was, in the chocolate bat's cave, and that she did not have a better place to hide it right now, and that if she retrieved it, she would only be putting it in greater danger. First, she thought, I must find a place that it is likely to grow, and I must learn more about it. And first, before even that, she thought, looking at her watch, I must get home in time for dinner, or I shall be in trouble with my mommy, who will not care whether I am guardian of a seed if I am late for my dinner. And so she and Joey hopped on the Cat's Paw Highway and turned around 3 times.
I know how to spell dinner. D-I-N-N-E-R.
You are correct. I turned around 3 times saying, Cat's Paw Highway, Cat's Paw Highway, Cat's Paw Highway, take me where I want to go. And soon she was standing in her very own backyard. Joey flew up to the roof, for he was hungry and had some extra special bird seed that he had saved.
What kind?
They were all sunflower seeds. He liked sunflower seeds a lot.
You said it was bird seed.
Well, some birds eat sunflower seed. So it's a sort of bird seed. And he's going to eat it. A bird's going to eat it, so that makes it bird seed. Winella rushed in the house. And she had dinner with her family. And then she went up to bed early. But she did not fall asleep right away, because she lay there in the dark, thinking over what had happened that day, thinking about the mystery that the fairies had entrusted to her, and wondering where the seed might grow, and wondering whether the chocolate bat was keeping it safe. But eventually, as she was thinking of these things, she thought that perhaps she should go talk to Flibbertigibbet, because if anyone might know something, or know someone who might know something about the seed, she was sure it would be Flibbertigibbet. And she knew that Jack Frost would never capture Flibbertigibbet, and so she eventually drifted off to sleep. She slept well that night, and long, and the sun was already shining in her window by the time she woke. She went downstairs and had a breakfast of Cheerios and applesauce and a glass of milk, and then she went to get on the Cat's Paw Highway. But just as she arrived to the Cat's Paw Highway, she saw that there was something sitting on the Cat's Paw Highway. And as she walked up to it, she could see that it was a little silver drop-shaped thing. And as she walked even closer to it, she could see that it was a chocolate kiss, and that it had a little white flag coming out of the top of the chocolate kiss. And Winella had seen chocolate kisses like that before, and usually when you read the flag said Hershey's on it. But this flag did not say Hershey's. This flag said another H word, help. As soon as Winella read it, her heart began to pound in her chest. She could think of only one creature that would be sending her a chocolate kiss requesting help. She thought, it must be the chocolate bat. Something terrible must have happened. Somehow Jack Frost and his goblins discovered that the seed was hidden in the chocolate bat's cave. What could have happened? I must get there immediately. So she ran back to the house as fast as she could, dashed up the stairs, and ran out onto the roof. "Joey," she said, "Joey, we've got to go. Kandie Land needs our help." She held out the chocolate kiss. Joey's eyes widened. "Let's go," he said. "Did you tell your mom?" Winella dashed back to the door. "Mom, I'm going to Kandie Land with Joey." "Bye," her mom yelled. Joey was already in the air over the side of the roof, flapping his wings when Winella turned back around. She took a running leap off the roof and landed on his back. She landed with such force from a running jump that for a moment Joey sunk several feet in the air, and she had to grab his feathery neck in order to avoid falling off. But then his powerful wings began to beat, and they rose up, faster and faster up through the clouds. And then they were going very fast, and they did a loop-de-loop and a barrel roll, and they were going down, down, down through the clouds. As they went through the clouds, Winella could see that even from the air she could tell there was something wrong in Kandie Land. Because usually as you went down through the cotton candy clouds, you could see Kandie Land spread below you like a beautiful fields of green in the center of a ring of mountains. But as Winella dove down through the cotton candy clouds, instead she began to catch a scent. Very bad scent. Not a scent like candy or a scent like sugar, but a terrible stench. And as they came to the last of the cotton candy clouds, Winella found that she had a great deal of trouble seeing Kandie Land at all, because where Kandie Land should have been was covered with thick orange clouds. Winella narrowed her eyes. She was thinking furiously. This reminded her of something, but she couldn't quite place it. She knew she'd smelled something like this before. Joey, she said, "I've got a bad feeling about this." Joey said, "Yeah, it's almost like. And as they were thinking, they flew down towards the chocolate bat's cave. As they came to land, they saw that there were a number of great robots walking around. Robots that had long, sharp knives for fingers, and they were using their knives to cut off big hunks of chocolate from trees and to dig big chunks of candy out of the ground. And on the back of each robot, in big black letters, it said robot number, the one that Winella was looking at was number 302. It said property of RF. Winella said RF. "Joey," she said. "Joey, Rich Freddy is here." Joey said, "Oh no." Winella said, "I don't know. I don't think he's here after, well, you know what. And I don't think it was Jack Frost. I think Rich Freddy has come to Kandie Land. We can't let him stay here. He'll ruin it." Joey just looked at her and nodded and moved his head towards the chocolate bat's cave. As they approached the front of the chocolate bat's cave, they could see that the front of the cave had caved in and was full of chocolate boulders. There were robots there with their fingers hacking away at the chocolate boulders and putting them into carrying baskets. Winella stood on the top of the cave. The robot seemed to just ignore her. She yelled, "Chocolate bat! Chocolate bat!" And she heard him say, "Psst!" She looked around. There, behind a bush, a small entrance to the cave was concealed. She walked over and said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I had to collapse the entrance of my cave to keep those robots out. Do you have any idea what's going on?" He said, "The gingerbread men who guard Kandie Land, they overpowered them. There were too many robots." Winella said, "Yeah." And Chocolate Bat said, and what is that stench?" Winella said, "It's Rich Freddy." Chocolate Bat said, "Who's Rich Freddy?" Winella said, "He's this rich guy, and he just wants to get richer, and he's always just showing up places and using up all the air and all the everything, and it looks like he's harvesting all the candy in Kandie Land." Chocolate Bat said, "This is terrible. Can't you do something to help us?" Winella said, "Why, yes, I believe as a matter of fact I can." She said, "Are there any gingerbread men left?" Chocolate Bat said, "Yes, several of them are hiding in here." Winella said, "Tell them to come out. I'm probably going to need their help." So Chocolate Bat disappeared back inside the little side entrance of the cave for a moment, and after he'd been gone for a minute, Winella heard a little scuffling, and 5 gingerbread men climbed out, and they saluted. "Tin Hut!" "Yes, ma'am." "What are our orders, ma'am?" Winella said, "I don't have any orders for you yet, but just come with me." "Yes, ma'am. Gingerbread men, about face, march." Winella said, "No, shh, no yelling, and stay out of the sight of the robots, okay?" "Ma'am, yes, ma'am." The gingerbread man saluted her. Winella climbed back on Joey's back. She said, "Joey, which direction does it look like the clouds are coming from?" Joey said, "That way, over towards the peanut butter forest." "Okay, let's go." Joey flew just above the ground, low, and keeping behind hills and bushes. Winella at first thought that they would outpace the gingerbread men, but she was surprised to look back and see them running. They were very, very fast. Winella had never seen them move that fast before, and really had no idea how quick they were. Soon, Winella said, "Down, Joey," and Joey landed. They peeked over the crest of a hill that was made out of cheese puffs, and they could see there the factory. The factory was belching great clouds of orange smoke, and from it, one after another, were coming stamping noises. And with each another robot stepped out of the factory, looked around, and began going off with its sharp fingers to harvest candy. Winella said, "Joey, you know what we have to do?" And Joey said, "Yeah, we need to find the big red self-destruct button." Winella said, "What if this factory doesn't have one?" Joey said, Rich Freddy may be a lot of things, but he's always consistent. Look, he even has the same color smoke, even though he's building something different." Winella said, "Yeah, but how are we going to get in there? Look at all those guards." Joey said, "Well, I think that perhaps this is a job for the gingerbread men." Winella said, "Okay, let's you and I distract them, and then maybe the gingerbread men can get in." She said, "Gingerbread man?" "Ma'am, yes, ma'am." "Here's what you need to do. Inside that factory somewhere, there's a big red button. We're going to get some of the guards away from the door. You have to find that button and press it." "Ma'am, yes, ma'am. You can count on us, ma'am." Winella got onto Joey's back. She said, "Okay, Joey, do your thing." Joey took several beats of his wings. The guards saw him, but Joey was up already into the orange cloud, so they could not see him. He flew until he guessed he was right above the door, and then he folded his wings and dove for the ground. The guards were standing right there looking up at them, but as soon as they saw Joey come shooting down out of the clouds at them, they all ducked and hit the ground. Winella thought they were going to hit the ground too, but just as they were about to hit, Joey snapped his wings open, and they suddenly switched direction and flew very quickly, just above the ground, skimming along. The guards were almost immediately on their feet, nets in their hands, chasing after them. Joey said, "Don't worry, we've got some speed. They won't catch us," as he was looking behind them. But then as he turned to look in front of them, and who was standing in front of them but Rich Freddy himself, net in hand. Winella had only a second to think, and she jumped straight up from Joey's back, just as Rich Freddy threw the net over Joey. Winella jumped up, and she found herself flying right towards Rich Freddy over the net, and she slammed right into his chest and knocked him onto his back. And she turned before he had a chance to catch his breath, yanked the net off of Joey, and threw it over Rich Freddy. "There," she said, "that should keep you out of trouble." She looked back. The guards were starting to catch up with them, but she could also see the door to the factory was open behind them. She said, "Come on, Joey." Joey said, "Oh, I think I sprained my wing." "Come on," she said. let's go. The guards were catching up, and Rich Freddy was saying, get them, get them. But then, just as the guards got right up to them, they heard this sound from the inside of the factory. Self-destruct sequence initiated. 30, 29, 28, 27. Rich Freddy said, guards, get in there. Turn off the self-destruct sequence. No, wait, get the net off me. 20, 19, 18. Rich Freddy and the guards were so busy getting the net off him that they weren't keeping track of Winella and Joey anymore. Winella and Joey started to run towards the bushes. Rich Freddy said, get them! No, don't get them! Quick, into the factory! 10, 9, waiting in the bushes were the gingerbread men. They picked Joey up and carried him. Winella had to run as fast as she could just to keep up with them. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Winella turned to look back. 3, 2, 1. Poof! In a flash of light, the factory seemed to fold into itself and disappear. Ah, Winella said. She looked around. The robots were not gone. At first, her heart sank. She thought, oh, what are we going to do now? But then as she looked at them, she could see they had all stopped moving. Ah, she said, they don't work without the factory. The gingerbread men walked over to the robots. They said, Ma'am, is it all right if I have a look at this robot, ma'am? Sure, said Winella. I'm going back to the chocolate bat. She and Joey walked back to the chocolate bat, since his wings were still feeling a little sprained. Winella told the chocolate bat all about how she had gotten rid of the factory with the help of the gingerbread men. She said, and our little secret, I think it needs to stay our little secret for a while. Here in your cave, chocolate bat, I need to learn some things before I can take it back. Well, said the chocolate bat, that's fine, but there aren't many gingerbread men left to protect Kandie Land. I don't know what will keep the goblins and Jack Frost out. Sir, I do, sir. Winella had not seen the gingerbread men come up. She saw there were the 5 gingerbread men, and behind them walked one of the robots. Winella said, are they all working again? No, ma'am. We've reprogrammed it, ma'am. We should be able to do this with all the robots. Now they will protect Kandie Land. No worries, ma'am. The robots should protect this Kandie Land just fine until we can recruit more gingerbread men, ma'am. Excellent, said Winella. Chocolate Bat, I'll be back as soon as I find a more permanent hiding place for our little secret, all right? Certainly, said the Chocolate Bat. You can count on me. How are your wings feeling, Joey? Ugh, he's stretched. I think I'm all right. Okay, let's go then, she said. She got on his back and flew up. Already the orange clouds are starting to dissipate, and as she looked down, she could see the gingerbread men and their reprogrammed robots clearing the entrance of the Chocolate Bat's cave. She could see more robots heading off to patrol the edges of Kandie Land to make sure no goblins or anyone else, like a Rich Freddy, got in again. Smiling to herself, she reached out as they went up through the cotton candy clouds. Munching, she thought, well, I guess Flibbertigibbet will have to wait until tomorrow. But I am going to go see him. I need to know how to be a gardener.
And we'll tell that story
Tomorrow night.
Thanks for listening to Stories for Wonderful Children. I created today's story, but questions and witty commentary were supplied by my children. The music was created by Brandon Thompson. If you enjoy the show, please tell someone about it or leave a review on your podcast provider. Our website is storiesforwonderfulchildren.com, and you can also find us on most social media. I'm Dan Wendelin, reminding you to tell someone you love a story.